The first morning was beautiful. And actually the weather was perfect. It was kind of the first time that I was catching a break with the heat because it had been hot, really hot through the first day. At this point in the race, I was still confident in finishing well. I thought where I was around 11th place was a confident and comfortable place to be in, 100K in. I mean, we were only a third of the way in which the last 100K is absolutely brutal. So in my mind, I thought, wow, this is pretty much perfect. Although I don't feel at my absolute best. I mean, I'm sure nobody does 100K into the race at this point. So when I got into Cognac, Sabrina was waiting on me with a fresh pair of socks and a change of clothes. So I tried to hurry up and get all that done, and then took a seat for about 5 to 10 minutes to eat some pasta and soup and really just get refueled, since, you know, the way I was looking at it was, if this had been any other day, it would have been time for breakfast. So I ate exactly what I thought would be a solid meal to push me through the daylight hours into the night again. And left the aid station, just walking and letting everything digest, and slowly moved into a jog again. I mean, the Italian Alps are just pure brutality. I mean, what makes them so different is, so we climbed and descended 24 or 25 mountain passes, or what they call cols here. And each one of these passes, just one climb alone can take 4 to 5 hours, and then one descent alone can take 3 to 4 hours. So people do these mountains as a day trip. And what's amazing is we're trying to cram 24 of these into like 3 or 4 days, which is just, it's mind-boggling. It's really hard to believe. And I mean, that's what makes this race so physically demanding. It's so much bigger than what I had expected. When I train in the San Juans, I can run up a mountain, and I can run up a mountain continuously without stopping, and I can even, towards the top of the mountain, start to push really hard to the top. Whereas out here, like you hit a point where you have to power hike. You can't just run to the top. Or at least I can't just run to the top. And because you'll run 4,000 feet, and then your last 1,500 feet to 2,000 feet of climb are all just completely vertically demanding. And I think that's the biggest difference, is the fact that you can't just like crank out a climb in 2 hours. Whereas out here, a quick crank out, we're looking at like a 4-hour climb. So leaving Cognac, we had a really big climb and descent down into Donas. The total length of the descent was 35 kilometers and pretty close to 10,000 feet of descent. And this, it was starting to really heat up at this point, and I was starting to feel the effects of being halfway through the race, and not only halfway through the race, but having to work down a 20-mile descent that was just, at the time seemed never ending. Towards the end, I really battled with a section that mentally just wore me down. It reminded me a lot of running on the East Coast on some of the most technical trails on the East Coast, but instead of being on the East Coast, it was in Italy. And it was, after we worked our way down from the Alpine back into the trees, this section was completely off cambered, very, very rooty and rocky and technical, and then all the routes were covered with leaves, so identical to some East Coast trail running. And at the time, I was just trying to focus on getting water and getting food in me, because I was really, really overheating. So I mean, I had come from an 11,000 foot col all the way down to the valley floor at 300 feet, and actually running the 2 to 3 kilometers that we had to run through the city to get to the aid station was actually probably the most mentally draining part. It was very frustrating to honestly, I didn't want to see people. I was a bit grumpy. I didn't want to see people. I didn't want to hear a foreign language. Anyone that was just in the narrow alleyways we were running through, it was frustrating. Not that they were doing anything, but I was just kind of in a grumpy place where just anything anyone could do was pissing me off. And I just didn't want to be near anybody. The most memorable times and what made me most happy on that course was to be out in the mountains by myself. So having such a long section, well, long for a trail race in the city or in the town of Donas was pretty frustrating. And well, I ran right by Fort Bard and didn't even notice it.
When you say I'll dig much deeper, I will shout.
So coming into Donas, it was, you know, the second day was even hotter than the first, so I was really looking forward to getting out of the heat. You know, this was actually kind of a point in the race when I started to need some maintenance done to the body. I, you know, kind of had some hopes and aspirations of taking a quick 20-minute nap, but that didn't happen, mainly because of the fact we took so long when we got in there. I had wanted Sabrina to roll my legs out with a R8 roller, and one of the aid station workers, I guess maybe an aid station captain of some sort, told us that it wasn't allowed in the race, which was kind of odd, and he just heavily insisted that we couldn't use it, although we had used it at every aid station before and after that. So I ended up having to go over to the table to get a massage therapist or a masseuse to give me what was probably a 10 or 15 minute massage. And by the time I had ate and gotten a massage, there was really no use of taking a nap too, and it was the middle of the day, so I didn't even bring it up with my crew. I also changed my shorts again, being that I was just trying to stay dry, so I decided to change my shorts as I was starting to chafe in between my legs. I mean, we're about 101 miles into the race, and it was kind of at the point where I would realize that each aid station or life base I was coming into is becoming more and more important, that some kind of maintenance needed to be done so that I could keep moving along through the race. At this point in the race, you know, I was still in 8th place, and you know, this was a great spot for me. I mean, the race still had, you know, we were only halfway through. I still had plenty of opportunity to catch majority of the field, if not even first place. However, I also was, you know, starting to notice the wear and tear on my own body, and you know, I never could find that extra gear that I needed. It was still just slow and steady and consistent. So my time after leaving Donas, we spent a lot of time actually going through a little wine vineyard. We went up the side of this hill in Donas, and then kind of work our way up this just a little maybe 700-foot climb, and then immediately you drop back down. Absolutely mentally draining, because it doesn't feel like we're actually advancing through the course at all. But in that town there was lots and lots of fans and spectators and people going nuts. And that was kind of how every town was. They all kind of rally around the race itself, and there's flags and balloons and people ringing bells and cowbells. It's a festival. It's a big event that each town knows about. It doesn't matter what town you're in, you're gonna see some kind of banners or something hanging up for tour. There's a totally different culture here. I mean, the culture around endurance sports in general is unbelievable. It was amazing because we'd go every trail we went up or down. It didn't matter where we were in the race course. It didn't matter what time of the day. I ran into multiple spectators every section of the course that were out cheering people on, cowbells, And everyone you ran into that was out on these trails knew the race was going on. They would say, are you Tor or are you Tot? Because there's a 130K race and a 339K race going on. And they'd cheer you on. And one of the things that the spectators really love to do is, as you're coming up, they'll wait for you to pass them, and then they immediately look at your bib, and then they just yell at you. One of the guys that was behind me was from Spain, and I remember as we passed them, they go, ah, España, 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 Americano! And they just, it's for them, it's like this, it's really cool to see who's coming from what country to race, but it's like, it's a big part of their culture here. You know, the race itself brings in tons of tourism and money into the Aosta Valley as it is. And then it's like, this is their big event for the year. There's lots of races, but there's only one Tour. And the Tour, it embodies all the mountains that these people live by and all the mountains that these people hike up every day.
No, thank you. At the next aid station, could you please have my money back?
Okay.
Just because I'm gonna grab some gum out of it.
Still water or sparkling? Still, I think.
Can I have do you have sparkling?
Yeah.
That would be great, thank you.
Okay. No.
Can you dump that? There's stuff in it. I'm gonna put my long sleeve on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get chilly here in a minute because this shirt's all sweaty.
Yeah. I had to.
Can I give you this?
Yes.
Because I'm not gonna wear it till tomorrow. I don't need those either. Those are wet.
Leave whatever you want on the bench.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
I'm not moving fast, but it's steady.
the next the Italian Oliveira, he's Olivio.
Oliveira?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's 5-10 minutes ahead of him.
Okay. Thank you.
How do you feel?
I feel like I've ran 100 miles. My legs are heavy, but I'm making it work.
Okay.
Yeah. Just one step at a time.
3 hours? Oh no, 3 hours.
This thing is absolutely frustrating.
I just got it to work at before we left the life base.
4 kilometers and up.
Okay.
I have your bag here.
I'm going to sleep.
Okay.
Bravo.
I think their tent is down to sleep down the hill.
You want to sleep? If you want to, we have some tent outside.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to sleep?
Yeah.
Just make the control.
Yeah.
Did you need? Okay. Okay.
He says you're okay. I have your bag.
Okay. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I don't know. I need to sleep more than 60 minutes.
More than 60?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, very, very important. My black diamond light is shot. This is someone else's headlamp. So tomorrow, if you would tell Sabrina she can use my card, but we gotta either get a headlamp or she needs to charge the Petzl.
No more than before you go in and lay. You're allowed 2 here.
Right. Okay. Let's go an hour 45.
Hour 45.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go get it.